Think you know what to expect from an RTS game? Think again. Tempest Rising is about to take the genre by storm with a unique blend of familiar gameplay and innovative new features. Get ready to see why this game will be a must-play for an RTS fan. Let's dive straight into unique features of the game. The first effect we'll talk about is Marked. So far we know that some GDF units can mark enemy units which, if killed, give intel resource, which can be spent on unit abilities and units as stated in devblock 1.0. On screen now we have a Dynasty vehicle marked by a GDF unit. So far the units which we know can mark enemies are the Field Scout with their marking mines, the Sentinel and the Haywire turret which marks every target hit by it.
Paratroopers incoming! Good luck up there!
Secondary objective accomplished.
Marking will be very important for GDF not just because of intel, but also because some of the units benefit from attacking the afflicted units. As of now they are called networked units and they gain bonus range and damage per shot against marked. That's not all GDF has to offer in the buff department. They also have a status effect known as comms, which provides the friendly units within the radius increased attack and move speed. Yes, you can have both comms and network on a hunter tank for example, and if possible, you'd want both on the unit. Tempest plant you need to harvest in order to get resources has a special effect too. It's called Tempest Charge. Vehicles can be afflicted by it by going through Tempest fields or by being attacked by weapons which set this effect. Tempest Charge reduces vehicle speed and attack rate, and if they build up too much charge it leads to Tempest Overflow, damaging the unit over time. But there's a twist. Some units actually benefit from Tempest Charge and gain increased attack speed if affected by it. In theory that means your opponent can buff the units which are fans of Tempest, meaning you'll have to take Tempest Charge into the account in every battle you fight. We'll go over units, but one such is Voltaic Tank, and if you're not careful you'll end up buffing a number of them with Tempest Charge, which may end up costing you the battle. Very interesting mechanic and I can't wait to see more of it. Infantry can pass through Tempest without fear of damage or Tempest Charge, unlike Tiberium from CNC. It has to be noted though that while there are exceptions, Tempest Charge is mostly a debuff.
Watch this.
Unit ready.
There are also specialists in the game, which are named individual characters, infantry units similar to hero units or commandos, which can perform unique abilities on the battlefield. In campaigns, they each have their own storyline arcs. Each specialist is designed to have different levels of micromanagement. For instance, the sniper is intended to have high individual interaction, whereas the comms officer can be simply mixed into a group as a supporting unit. We won't see any superpowers, but there will be no shortage of support powers and unit abilities. From what we know, the developers don't want a one-click win button. If you like what you see, maybe subscribe and let your thoughts about the game in the comments below.
Unit lost.
Incident report, taking them down.
We know there will be 3 factions in the game, 2 of them having a campaign mode with 15 missions in each one. The third faction will be playable in multiplayer but doesn't have a campaign mode. We also know 2 of the factions already, with the third one remaining a mystery. The developer said it's not what we think and it's definitely not aliens, so I'm excited to see what the third faction will be about. For now, we know the GDF and the Tempest Dynasty. GDF, or Global Defense Forces, is a global peacekeeping organization formed by the surviving governments of Earth following the nuclear war. By the 1997, the GDF are the maintainers of the majority of Tempest sites around the world and are in conflict with Tempest Dynasty over control of the resource. On the field, the GDF use their advanced communications technology to keep one step ahead of the enemy. In one of the gameplay showcases, we also saw Colonel Fisher, who will be providing the player with mission briefings and background information on the conflict. Now, while the name GDF may draw comparison with GDI, Global Defense Initiative from the Command & Conquer series, the GDF is an existing original faction that has appeared in several of 3D Realms' previous games. Their bitter enemy are the Tempest Dynasty. The Dynasty is a collection of European and Asian nations that suffered the most from the nuclear war. Naming themselves after the Tempest, the Dynasty views the planet as their birthright and the salvation from the devastation. It was founded by Domovoi Molkalin, who serves as the figurehead, but the Dynasty is actually led by his son, Alex Molkalin. By 1997, the Dynasty holds a large amount of Tempest sites in their territories and oppose the occupation of the global defense forces to control them. The Tempest Dynasty are a faction focused on overwhelming firepower and the heavy use of the Tempest in their arsenal. One unique mechanic is that they can change the behavior of their power plants from their normal power production to a distribution mode. The distribution mode accelerates the unit production and buffs the combat capabilities of nearby buildings, but it damages the buildings over time. While it's easy to brand GDF as good and Dynasty as bad, it's worth noting that the developers stated that both factions fight for what they believe is right, and no one is truly good, and as a player, you'll have to make many tough decisions throughout both campaigns. No classic RTS is complete without units, so let's check some of the units we know about so far.
We're on it. Aye, man. Acknowledged.
First up, we look at the known GDF units. There's more of them because both single-player and multiplayer showcase were played from GDF perspective, but we have some Dynasty for you as well. Field Scout is the basic infantry unit of the GDF. Described as the backbone of the GDF military might, they're professional and disciplined. They also have longer range and are harder hitting than their Dynasty counterparts. Field Scouts also have an active ability to place early warning marking mines, which marks the enemy unit and provide vision of an area when an enemy land unit trips the mine. Drone Operator serves as the anti-armor support infantry of the GDF. They control a quadcopter combat drone. While they are only armed with a pistol, their combat drones fires rockets at both ground and air targets. The drone can be controlled by the player via the operator's remote control ability to scout out a large area, although it is limited in its movements within the radius of its operator. The drone can be used to reveal higher ground, allowing for artillery attack on enemy positions. While the combat drone can be shot down, another one will eventually spawn from the operator. The Riot Trooper is a heavily armored melee infantry of the GDF. They are armed with a riot shield and a baton and attack up close and personal. The Trooper's attack suppresses enemy infantry, which reduces their combat effectiveness. In addition to that, they can swap out to use EMP grenades against vehicles. Up next is the Drone Mauler. While he doesn't have the ability to remote pilot his two drones, he does have stealth while immobile and is also a networked unit, meaning the Mauler gains bonus range and damage against marked targets. Hunter Tank is the main battle tank of the GDF. It's an all-around Tier 1 ground unit that is effective against most enemy vehicles and structures. While it cannot deal against infantry well, it can run over them. As with the Mauler, Hunter Tank is a networked unit and you'll want to keep it buffed for increased damage and range. The Sentinel is capable of attacking ground and air units. It also has the ability to fire marking rounds, which gives friendly networked units bonus range against targets hit by the rounds, and it also yields intel for kills. With its marking rounds, the Sentinel is a great complementary unit to both Hunter Tank and Drone Mauler. Comms Rig is a GDF support vehicle which has two modes it can toggle between. In Intel mode, the rig is mobile and is capable of both planting anti-tank mines and detecting stealth objects. In Comms mode, the rig becomes immobile and friendly units within the rig's radius will receive the comms effect, which grant bonus attack and movement speed. The Riot Van is a heavy infantry transport which allows its passengers to fire out of portholes, making it both an armored troop transport and a mobile bunker. The Riot Van also has the ability to deploy a suppression field that can temporarily stun enemy infantry. In tandem with its transport infantry, the unit would be ideal in clearing out large groups of enemy foot soldiers. The Shield Maiden is a GDF defensive support vehicle. The Shield Maiden can deal high damage against enemy air units with its laser attack and passively reduces the attack rate of enemy units and defenses that fire missiles within a large radius of itself. As an active ability, the Shield Maiden can dispense a temporary repair turret. The Trebuchet is the heavy tank of the GDF. The Trebuchet provides superior firepower and can deploy to act as a long-range anti-ground artillery. In its mobile vehicle mode, the Trebuchet is strong against infantry and buildings and can also crush light vehicles under its treads. In its deployed artillery mode, the Trebuchet outranges most enemy defenses and fires Tempest charge shells, dealing an attack and move speed debuff on vehicles it hits. The Scrambler is best described as GDF's glass cannon. Though lightly armored, it is a tier 3 unit that is fast and armed with long-range missiles which can attack both land and air targets. The Scrambler maintains stealth when it's not moving or attacking, making it similar to Spectre from Kane's Wrath, although there's comparison with Stealth Tank 2 because of its capability to attack air targets. The Scrambler can also deploy Tempest Chaff to disable structures and deal area damage. This is what we know of GDF units so far. Now let's take a look at some Dynasty units.
Show me that my trust is not misplaced.
Dynasty Guard is the basic infantry, and while they are less adept in combat than the Field Scout, the Guard can be fielded in greater numbers with cheaper cost. They also seem very dedicated to the cause. Flame Trooper is Dynasty's close-range support, similar to Black Hand from CNC. Any target caught in the cone of Trooper's flames will be set on fire and take damage over time. Even if the Trooper is no longer attacking said target, it will still be on fire for a brief moment. Assault Gunner is heavy infantry unit armed with a rotary machine gun, and it's one of the units which actually gain buff from Tempest Charge, increasing their weapon's rate of fire. The Boar is Dynasty's main battle tank. Although not much is known about it yet, we do know that the Boar can be affected by Tempest Charge, but is immune to Tempest Overflow status effect. The Porcupine is the mobile artillery vehicle. Birthed in the aftermath of World War III, the Porcupine MLRS is capable of raining rockets down on the enemy from an impressive range, at the cost of the lengthy reload time. Not as cool as the Scrambler. Pillager is the flame tank of Dynasty. It has twin flamethrowers which fire out jets of scorching flame that are devastating against groups of infantry and I imagine structures. As with the Flame Trooper, any targets caught in the flames will be set on fire. Voltaic Tank is the heavy tank of the Dynasty. The Voltaic Tank quickly builds up a laser charge before firing at its target. Its attacks can disable defenses, rendering them useless. If under the Tempest Charge effect, the Voltaic Tank has an increased rate of fire. While the GDF also has a harvester to harvest Tempest, the developers confirmed each faction will have a different way of harvesting Tempest. Instead of a harvester, the Dynasty uses Tempest Rig, which can deploy into a refinery structure and its 4 wheels will detach into individual harvesters. Interesting note, if the rig loses one of its harvesters, another one will spawn after a while, and if you don't have all of your harvesters, the rig will be immobile. These are some of the mechanics and units we saw in recent showcases, and with all we know so far, it would be a disservice to Tempest Rising and its developers to say it's just a Command & Conquer clone. While it's true that the game is clearly inspired by the legendary franchise, the developers are also trying out some new, innovative mechanics. Tempest Rising doesn't seem like a clone, it's more of an evolution of the classic RTS genre. Yes, the comparison with Command & Conquer still stands, and a lot of CNC fans are rightfully looking forwards to Tempest Rising for the much needed CNC fix. But it would be a mistake to disregard Tempest Rising as just a clone. It looks like it will be an awesome game in its own right, and with everything we saw so far, Tempest Rising is shaping up to be the next big thing in RTS gaming. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments below. We also have a price point for the game. Digital copy will cost $49.99. If you like the game so far, wishlist it on Steam. I'll leave the link in the description. We'll dissect the multiplayer showcase in the next video. Until next time, be good to yourself and others. Goblin out.
Unit lost. Initializing. Please stand by.